Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 career mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we're headed to the Miami circuit here for the first of 3 United States Grand Prix this season as we look to bring some upgrades into this weekend as a team here at Williams, as well changing a few engine components coming into this weekend that have gotten worn out. We had some big news this weekend and it was regarding 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel actually basically coming out and saying, hey, I'm interested in returning to a ride in Formula 1 going forward into next season 2025 and beyond. You see where everybody stacks up in the R&D. The midfield cars all kind of the same as Red Bull still has an overwhelming advantage, but Sebastian Vettel is actually in Miami this weekend, and in the Through the Grid segment he will actually be in the commentary booth very briefly to kind of expand upon those comments that he made in social media saying, hey, I want to return to action here in Formula 1 in the coming seasons. And as well, big news here, part of this career mode, Miami in Real Life 2024 is a sprint weekend. Well, guess what? I have decided to just fully remove sprints from the career mode. So sprints are gone. We don't have to worry about them ever here now as we focus in on our race weekend here behind the wheel of this Williams. It's not been an easy rookie season so far, and of course last episode we really upset Ferrari and Charles Leclerc. We have not had any conversation with them. We've kind of just been locked out, been quiet, so not sure what to expect out of that going forward. So only time's going to tell, and we'll just kind of wait and see what happens, of course, out of that now as we come through into just the third of 3 laps in this race strategy program, and overall felt pretty confident in this car and its abilities so far here in practice. And with the upgrades that we've actually brought into this weekend, it doesn't really better our situation a whole lot. We're still the worst car on the grid, but we still got more upgrades on the way going forward as well to look forward to here. Now Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez make it a Red Bull 1-2 at the top of the board here in free practice 1, as now we can shift our focus into qualifying Saturday afternoon. The sun slowly starting to set. Late afternoon qualifying session here. The heat is up. The temperature is high. It's going to be a slippery circuit here now, but I'm excited for the challenge as we get weighed up, as we get ready to go onto the track now. And we're trying to get our team through into Q2 again. Can we pull that one off now as we come through, though, in our first lap here in Q number 1? Miami is a track personally that I have never been a big fan of. Never really have enjoyed coming to this circuit, and same for Las Vegas. You know, the 2 of the 3 United States circuits I've just never been a fan of racing on. Nonetheless, we can't do anything about it. We gotta, you know, get going, and we gotta find some speed and do whatever we can to put this car as far up the leaderboard as we can. And my first lap felt okay, but I knew there was definitely some room for some serious improvement here now as we round the final turns, heading down towards this front straightaway. Ferrari just in front of us heading into the pit lane to the line, and we don't beat anybody so far, which was a little bit concerning. However, by the time we start our final lap, we had only beat Valtteri Bottas, and we're just behind our teammate of Alex Albon. So 18th and 19th currently for Williams, and I was feeling pretty confident in the fact that we were not going to make it into Q2, so confidence, but not necessarily in a good way. We had found some time, but we had dropped down to P20. Bottas had got himself into the top 15. Albon still P18. He did not really improve. Hulkenberg up to P19, or down to P19, I guess now, as we round this final turn, though. Half a second of an advantage over our first lap. What's it going to put us on the leaderboard? It's going to be crossing the stripe. Hold on. 18th. We beat our teammate of Alex Albon, but still none of us advanced into Q2, and we beat Albon by 100th of a second as we run a 29.122. He runs a 29.132 as we still have some work to do as we head to the grid for the first of 3 United States Grand Prix races this season.
Welcome to the Miami International Autodrome, home of the Miami Grand Prix. This exciting track circumnavigates the Hard Rock Stadium, home to the National Football League outfit, the Miami Dolphins. With great opportunities for wheel-to-wheel battles featuring 19 corners, 3.36 miles long and expected average speeds of 138 miles an hour, the Miami International Autodrome will be sure to create lots of chances to overtake. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Oscar Piastri, Sainz, Norris, Leclerc, Russell, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Ocon, Stroll, Hamilton, Ackerman, Bottas, Ricciardo, Butler, Tsunoda, Golden Boy, Albon, and Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
It is a really interesting race on the way. It's a two-stop strategy that's going to be preferred. We're going to be doing mediums, starting on the mediums, going to mediums, then going to hards. You see the strategy on the bottom, going 2 sets of softs after starting on the mediums and whatnot. A lot of options available. However, we're just going to stick with the default strategy as we get ready to go racing.
The formation lap gets underway and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure that their car is ready for the battle once the lights go out.
Let's have a good day, boys. P8 to top 5, let's do it.
I'm going to get aggressive here, guys. We need to get what we can on the start.
Not the best spot, but let's get after it today.
As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
Thanks for the hard work this weekend, team. Everybody at the factory. It's not going to be an easy one today again, but let's just hang in there and hope for the best.
Absolutely, mate. Stay after it and be patient here.
So then, pulling up to the grid and ready to go racing here. No home drivers, of course, this weekend as we did replace Logan Sargent here behind the wheel of this Williams machine this season now. Nonetheless, Hülkenberg gonna pull up to the back of the grid just in front of him. We got the pair of our cars here at Williams, myself, Alex Albon, as well as we are ready to go racing for 29 laps here on the streets of Miami. Here we go, lights out and we're racing. Max Verstappen leads the way down towards turn number 1, covers off his teammate Perez immediately. One of the Ferraris wobbled in the background there. Verstappen a little bit wide on the apex. Perez had a look, not quite able to do anything with it. Now the McLaren of, I believe that's Piastri. Yes, it is Piastri through into P3. Lando Norris a few spots behind him. You got the Ferraris of Sainz and Leclerc sandwiched just in between. You got the Mercedes in the background as well, and the Alpines. You can see some side-by-side battles as well. There's Casper Ackerman, his final Miami Grand Prix right there, going at it with the Sauber kick there. Valtteri Bottas, that's just in front of myself and Ricciardo. I was able to get up to P16 on the start, passing Tsunoda, Butler, Albon as well, as now you can see straight line speed not necessarily an advantage right now for this Williams car as we head down this long straightaway as we just stay patient waiting for an opportunity like this right here. Show the nose on the Australian of Daniel Ricciardo will go wheel to wheel through the stadium section. Now a long sweeping right hander that heads into a chicane. Ricciardo gets the position. You do not want to go side by side through here. It is just not ideal for any parties now as we cross under the overpass now and just stay tucked in behind the Visa Cash App Racing Bull machine down this long straightaway. Once again, of course, long straightaways make up this Miami circuit here as we head towards the end of lap number 1, settling in to P16. So pretty happy with the overall gains we've made. We're on the mediums. Ricciardo is as well, just in front of him. Valtteri Bottas on the softs, just behind me. Yuki Tsunoda on the softs. Ricciardo, you can already see slipping around a little bit there, struggling to find some grip on that medium compound tire as we continue on in this 16th position towards the tail end of lap 2, and definitely paying attention a lot to the Japanese driver of Yuki Tsunoda. Of course, he had that heck of a just kind of charge in the late laps in Japan there in his home Grand Prix at Suzuka, and was able to pass us right at the end of that race and hang on to the position. So that was a great little tussle we had with him. Now as we continue to lap number 4 at this point, looking at the track map, you can see that Verstappen's driving away from his teammate of Sergio Perez, who's coming under fire momentarily from Oscar Piastri. Now Perez struggling a little bit for pace compared to what he showed in qualifying. Now using the DRS really unfortunately, that's just what's keeping me ahead of Tsunoda right now, who I felt like was a little bit quicker than I was. Overall, I mean, just happy that we're at least maintaining pace there. You see Casper Ackerman in P13 just in front of Valtteri Bottas. Here we go, maybe for P2. 2 seconds up the road is Verstappen, now over Piastri, who breezes through past the Mexican of Sergio Perez, the Australian, through into P2, and he'll try to run down the Red Bull. McLaren are showing up with more pace as this season continues to develop, as we're going to actually run into the back of Daniel Ricciardo. Not what we wanted to do. Fortunately, no damage, but we continue on. Still not really a good opportunity to grab any positions now as we come to lap 5, and you can see Ricciardo actually is going to make a move on the Sauber kick of Bottas there, and of course keep in mind, I mean, that Sauber's on the softs. Are the softs already starting to fall off here? It feels like the softs just don't have a crazy advantage early on in these Grand Prix this season so far, and Valtteri loses a spot to Ricciardo, who's having a solid run here in the streets of Miami. Of course, Ricciardo loves the American culture, looking to run maybe the best he has all season long here today as Bottas storms away down the straight line as we continue to struggle a little bit here for straight line speed as we come to lap 6, maybe eyeing him up for a move, but no, we're not. For the first time in our career, a mechanical failure. I'm out, smoke's pouring out of the back, it's over.
Okay, just pull over at an exit on the left when you can. Sorry, mate.
So that's it, our first mechanical failure. We didn't even complete 6 full laps. It's over here, which means we're getting another race today because we're not going to call it an episode after just 6 laps. So we are going to do Imola as well here now. So we'll get to hear Sebastian Vettel's comments on returning to Formula 1 in Imola instead of Miami here now, as Max Verstappen would pick up the victory. Perez maintains a podium, and it looks like that's Carlos Sainz as well in P2, so Sainz splits the Red Bulls there, gets a very solid result there for him, and trying to, of course, solidify his future in Formula 1. We already know Lewis Hamilton, of course, going to Ferrari next season in this career mode. Sainz's future is certainly in jeopardy. Real life, he's going to Williams. Well, right now, Williams is currently kind of jammed up a little bit with Albon and myself, but what does my future look like? Of course, we don't know about that either. Russell Hamilton with rough days in 8th and 9th. Esteban Ocon gets P10. Casper Ackerman, P13. We're the only DNF, and you can see the standings there. Verstappen now 21 points ahead of Charles Leclerc in the standings. Now, a lot of racing to go this season, of course, and in the Constructors, Red Bull 51 ahead of Ferrari, 57 ahead of Mercedes now as we come through into Imola for the next weekend. I forgot to showcase it, so we didn't bring any new upgrades into this weekend, but one team that did was Haas. Haas has brought some upgrades and actually have put themselves at the top of the midfield teams coming into this weekend, so we'll see what they are capable of doing. So straight into Q1 for Imola here, and this is a track that I've always had some ups and downs at over my course of racing here. I've never been a huge fan of Imola either. Now it's a really on-edge circuit here. You just got to be perfect, and I struggle to be perfect a lot, I find, when it comes to racing. So a track that doesn't necessarily suit my style, but we were finding good pace to my surprise as we head down this front straightaway, open up that rear wing on the only DRS straight on the circuit. We go P4 for Albon, P6 for myself. By the time we come through to our final laps in Q1, we're still P15. We're showing some impressive pace this weekend. Alex Albon as well had improved. He was up inside the top 12 currently, and as I'm coming through towards the tail end of the lap, we found 0.4 of a second, and just a few corners remain. Here we go, out of the penultimate left-hander, we're down to P16, so we need to make sure we improve, which we're doing easily. 0.7 of a second, just about to the line. We'll get that rear wing open again, and we're going to get both Williams into Q2. We would go 14th and 15th at the end of the session, and just like Miami, very close together on timing, a 7.75 versus 7.77 for myself. Ocon, Gasly, Butler, Bottas, and Ricciardo out here in Q1. We come through into Q2, and of course we don't expect to go further than this with the way we are, with the way where our car is, of course. Now Alex Albon currently 14th place, and he would not improve on this lap as I'm trying to find some good pace here on my one and only lap on a fresh set of tires, and I actually make a mistake right there, which was not good, but overall I fortunately got lucky and didn't invalidate my lap time. I was able to just kind of back out of it enough here now as we come through these final turns. Now what is it going to be? Is Is it going to be P14 or P15? That's really the only two realistic options. To the line, rear wing open, and I believe we got Albon for P14. Yes, we did. A 1:15.989, and once again, look how close Albon and myself have been over the last couple of rounds as Hulkenberg makes it into Q3 for Haas, showing that their upgrades are certainly working.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position with Charles Leclerc alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Perez, Sainz, Hamilton, Norris, Oscar Piastri, Fernando Alonso, Hulkenberg, Ackermann, Tsunoda, Stroll, Golden Boy, Albon, Ocon, Gasly, Butler, Bottas, and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Not a two-stop race today in Imola. We're doing a one-stop from mediums to hards. Two-stop looks about 7 seconds slower here as we get ready to go racing in Italy.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out.
Aston Martin both on hards, Gasly on the softs.
So as all the cars take their positions on the grid, the teams will be hoping their strategies pay off for them in today's race. The question I'm asking is which teams have got it right, which ones have got it horribly wrong?
Okay, Gary, good luck here. We've got the best pace we've had this year. Show it today.
Yes, sir. Thank you, James. Thank you, everybody, again. Let's move on from Miami and focus on today. Let's have a good one. So just in front of our teammate of Alex Albon, lining up here behind fellow Canadian of Lance Stroll, who's just going to be on our front left. Daniel Ricciardo lining up the back of the grid after what was looking like a solid Miami. Not a so hot Italy weekend here from Imola now. From P14 on the grid, we're ready to go racing. Max Verstappen set to lead the field to green. It's lights out and we're racing, and it's a horrendous start for the Dutchman. There goes Charles Leclerc in the Italian soil to the lead here for Ferrari on the run towards turn number 1. George Russell as well gets Verstappen on the run into turn 1. Sainz tries to go around the outside, putting Verstappen maybe from 1st to 4th. No, he goes from 1st to 3rd. He muscled out Sainz, stays ahead there, and just behind them you got Perez and Lewis Hamilton, the pair of McLarens, and then followed by them you got the pair of Haas cars of Hulkenberg, Casper Ackermann. I'm getting wheels out against Lance Stroll and actually past Lance Stroll into the hairpin, so a position gain there will settle in behind Fernando Alonso, the two-time world champion in Formula 1, now of course in the twilight of his career at Aston Martin. Now how many seasons of racing does Alonso have? Well, he called it after season 2 before we go into those 2026 regulation changes. Only time is going to tell on that one here now, but a solid opening start here from P14 to 13th now. Albon maintains P15. He doesn't gain or lose. Albon has not been great on the starts this season. That's kind of, I feel like, has been his weakness, is starting Grand Prix. He just hasn't been able to get it into a position where he needs to be. He usually loses out, and he spends the rest of the Grand Prix trying to recover, which has helped me a lot because I feel like we've been the opposite of Alex Albon. We've been gaining a lot of positions on starts here this season. Now, Verstappen at the end of lap 1, starting lap 2 on the run towards turn 1, using that Red Bull powertrain to his advantage around the outside of George Russell. There's our favorite typical F1 game, ghosting at the end of lap 1 into turn 1, but Verstappen nonetheless through into second place. Can he run down Charles Leclerc? That's the next question. Leclerc's got a pretty comfortable gap already, so we'll have to wait and see as these laps wind on. 32 laps of racing here in Imola. This is a track where I usually expect some rain. It was supposed to rain at the tail end of qualifying, but in Q3, we have yet to face any rain conditions in our Formula 1 career so far here in a racing scenario, so that's been pretty nice here. Now for me is Nico Hulkenberg starting lap 4s all over the back of Casper Ackermann here. We have a great view of this. It's just in front of us here on Alonso Tsunoda on the run into turn 1. Ackermann locks up and we spin ourselves out, locking up the rear brakes in the process. I'm sorry. Ackermann locked up checked up the whole line of cars in front of me, and I simply just pressed down on the brakes too much, locked up the rears, spun myself out. That's our first genuine mistake of our rookie season so far, and it's a costly one. We're now 6.5 seconds or so behind Valtteri Bottas in the Kick Sauber, but now my rear tires, they are overheated, and I am slipping and sliding around this circuit. You can see 103 degrees on the rear tires. Basically, in F123, when they go over 100 degrees, you're in trouble. And yeah, I was losing time now. We're actually now almost 8 seconds behind as we come to lap 6 and approaching lap 7. And now already hitting the panic button, maybe not the panic button, but certainly realizing, okay, we're going to have to do something different now. The original plan is a one-stop strategy, and I'm just basing it off of what I'm gaining here, and I'm gaining nothing basically. The only time I'm gaining is when the cars get clumped together in front of me and they kind of start fighting. So definitely going to need a potential strategy change. So what's the plan here?
Okay, we need to two-stop this now. We're losing too much time. I need you to hang on to lap 12, then we will box.
So that's the plan, basically, is we were originally going to pit on lap 15, now lap 12, at the end of lap 12, I should say now, actually trouble, Oscar Piastri with an engine failure.
No power, guys, no power. We're done.
You hear Piastri just says, no power now, as Gasly pits. As that was happening now, he goes from the softs to the mediums. He's the only driver that's on the two-stop with myself. We pass him in the process, of course, get past Piastri. We're into P18, so we got to hang on a few more laps. The gap is really not changing a whole lot. It's hovering anywhere between 7 to 8 seconds at a time to the cars in front, and that was at a point where I felt like I couldn't do much more, and we would get the gap down to 6.5 seconds as they were battling a little bit in front of us here now. As the lead battle, however, Leclerc is still out in front, but it was getting interesting here for 4th and 5th. Sergio Perez with a run on Carlos Sainz, the Spaniard, on the run towards the penultimate corner, the left-hander here now, and Hamilton's got a great view of this. Lando Norris just behind Hamilton as they round this final turn. Perez cannot complete the pass, but now DRS, of course, going to play the next factor here that's going to give Sainz now a bit of pressure again. Here comes Lando Norris as well. We're going to have 2 rows of side-by-side 2x2 on the run towards turn 1. Everybody's in this battle with DRS into turn 1. Perez cannot get Sainz again, but now Hamilton and Norris run into each other. Norris gets the job done through. On Hamilton goes Lando Norris into P6. As that was all going down, I'm coming into the pits here for now 1 of 2 pit stops. Now, without a virtual safety car, or, well, no, without a full safety car, I don't know if we can truly recover here today, just based off the pace. So we're putting on the mediums now. Our second and final pit stop is going to be on the softs. We're going to run about 10 or so laps on this medium compound, and then we're going to come in and run about 9 or so laps on that soft compound tire. And obviously, the two-stop strategy puts us in a position to where we can just push as hard as we possibly can for the rest of this Grand Prix, and I feel like that's the only chance I have to make up the time that we're losing after that spin, that self-spin that was. So I still, like I said, don't know if this is going to be enough to put us back into the mix here now, but here comes the leader of Charles Leclerc. Now this is at the end of lap 15. Him and Verstappen will pit from first and second. Russell stays on the track, so does Perez and Sainz, of course, as expected from them too. Hamilton will pit this lap as well. Leclerc, a solid stop. He's out. Verstappen's got to wait. That helps Leclerc. Verstappen had to wait about an additional second, so that's not going to do him any favors in his hunt to run down Leclerc before this Grand Prix is over here. Now as we round the final turn, going to gain some positions here now. Big trouble. Charles Leclerc has crashed into the Sauber kick of Devin Butler. Verstappen has to stop, so does Albon. Hamilton runs into the back of, I believe that's Yuki Tsunoda, or is that Ricciardo? That's Daniel Ricciardo. Front wing torn off of the Mercedes, and it was a self-spin by Devin Butler. Nowhere he can go in front of Leclerc, who slams into him, and Hamilton comes onto the scene and he runs directly into the back of Ricciardo. Norris has no issue getting through, but a bunch of cars stacked up, cars crash. Leclerc and Hamilton have to come into the pits. Some radio from Leclerc.
This is unbelievable, guys. I can't believe this.
Others pitting there. Hamilton, Albon as well, making his scheduled pit stop. Now Butler was handed a 5-second time penalty for, I believe, really just for blocking the track. I'm not sure if we're going to see any penalty points put on his license there. There wasn't really anything egregious. He self-spun, but he never really did anything outside of that that put anybody else in danger, really. So I feel like it was on the other cars at that point. We'll have to wait and see what F1 decides now. But we're on older tires, and of course that means that cars that just pitted Limited are going to be running us down even if they're on a hard compound tire compared to my mediums. Bottas going to breeze by me on the front straightaway, nothing I can do, and are actually both going to run down. Lance Stroll, that is, right there on the Aston Martin side by side into turn one. We barely clear him at the apex now. Leclerc 4 seconds back, of course, on a new set of mediums, but Charles Leclerc, absolutely devastating for him. I mean, he was in position to win Australia, and of course that didn't work out because he had a power loss right at the end of that Grand Prix, and here he was in position to win today. Now he's probably not even going to score a point. Hamilton with a devastating blow as well, and what's been a bit of a rough season. Both him and Leclerc had a bit of heartbreak in Australia, and then it follows through into Imola as well. Look at this battle. Valtteri Bottas refusing to give it up to Lance Stroll, and he leaves himself vulnerable now to myself into the hairpin, and now we're going to breeze through. Thank you very much, Valtteri Bottas. We know he's faster than us, but if we get the opportunity to do that, we're going to take it. So back up into P13. We are going to be pitting in just a few laps time, as now Lance Stroll is going to drive off into the distance from us, and Charles Leclerc and Valtteri Bottas both are going to absolutely haul the mail past me on this run again towards turn number 1. We tried to lift early, but hold on, we still get alongside Leclerc, who tried to show the nose on Bottas. We bank out of it right there at the end, as Albon is the next car behind us at this point, but he will not run us down before we come into the pits. Hamilton as well would get past Alex and move up into P15, and you can see the guys in front of us at this point just cruise control at this point, driving away. Russell actually out in front right now over Sainz, but let's go through the grid.
What a wild turn of events we've seen here in Imola, as Russell is in command over a charging Carlos Sainz, who will take the lead away on the run towards turn 1.
He'll breeze by him right here as Perez and Verstappen trail just behind in 3rd and 4th. Max got quite lucky avoiding that crash and keeps himself in contention.
Yeah, we've got 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel here with us to briefly chat. Welcome on in, Seb.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be at another race.
So you made some headlines in Miami mentioning you want to be back on the grid for 2025. What can you say on that?
Well, I'm simply wanting to get back into a car next year. I've had some time off and know what I want, and still very much have what it takes to go win races.
So what are your options right now?
Sauber is for sure an option. They've already reached out, since we all know they will be Audi in 2026. I won't mention any other teams, but I've been in contact with some team principals for sure.
When do you need to have something finalised by?
There's not much of a deadline, but I'd prefer before the final 5 or so races this year, so plenty of time.
All right, thanks, Seb, for joining us, and good luck on securing a ride for 2025.
His best chances, I think, are with Audi. He's 37. He's still got a good 3 or 4 years left in him.
And there you have, through the grid, Devin Butler. No surprise at the back of the grid, but it's going to be us now because we are coming into the pits and making our second and final stop. So, mediums off, softs on. We've been playing catch-up this whole Grand Prix, but it's just really not working out. We're going to come back onto the racetrack, and we're going to be about 9-10 seconds or so behind Devin Butler with a little bit less than 10 laps of racing remaining. So, we can definitely get Devin Butler. I don't think we can get Daniel Ricciardo, but that's all the battle is now. Try and pass Devin Butler here, our Rookie of the Year battle contender as we focus in on running him down. In lap 26, we are running him down. We've cut the gap in half, basically. 5 seconds now between us now, and it's been a bit of a back and forth between Russell and Sainz for the lead, and then the pair of Red Bulls of Perez and Verstappen just behind that. Of course, Perez into P3 over Verstappen in 4th after Verstappen had to check up in that whole accident that Devin Butler did, that self-inflicted spin. But as we come through to lap 28, you can see now well within our sights is the Kick Sauber driver here, coming to lap 29 now within 1 second of Devin Butler. We are going to have an opportunity to pass him within the next lap. Sainz currently out in front over Russell, but Russell's going to pass him on the straightaway. It's all about timing at that point for those two drivers here now, so Russell would be back out in front, coming to 3 laps to go for us this time by. A very defensive move right there from Butler in towards the chicane now, but we're just going to stay patient, wait it out, because we don't want to pass him here and then give him DRS, so we're going to stay planted right behind him as we come to the front straightaway. 3 to go for us. This is the opportunity now. DRS will look to the left side, and now we're going to hold the mail past the Kick Sauber. The leaders are coming to 2 laps to go. It'll be Russell leading, but Sainz will likely overtake him on the front straightaway with the DRS, setting Russell up in perfect position coming to the final lap where he will probably be P2, and sure enough, Sainz would take the lead, but coming to the final lap now, he's vulnerable to George Russell. Let's take a look. Here comes George Russell, final lap underway. Russell even dips the left sides in the grass. Sainz trying to cover, but it's not enough. On the run into turn number 1, Sainz drops to second. Russell locks up. Sainz shows a nose. He doesn't pounce on it though. What are you doing, Carlos? You had the golden opportunity to put yourself at the top step. He doesn't make it happen, and now he's vulnerable to Perez, who looks up the inside. He had to lift, and Verstappen breezes around the outside. The world championship leader back into the top 3 onto the podium, but George Russell would come around the final few turns, and he capitalized in Australia, and he'll capitalize again on the chaos today. Russell, second win of the season in Imola.
Woo! Come on, team! Come on!
Russell with another win, capitalizing on some chaos as we round the final few turns. Albon only P16, not the day we were looking for as a team after both cars advanced into Q2. Not what we wanted. We crossed the stripe in the 18th finishing position. Some work still to be done.
Keep your head high, Gary. We will overcome days like this.
Yeah, I know. Sorry guys though, that obviously I put myself in this position, or put us in this position, but yeah, we'll overcome it.
It's a performance that our Emilia Romagna Grand Prix winners can be justifiably proud of. And I'm sure there'll be celebrations tonight.
And George Russell, Mercedes certainly are going to be thrilled with that one. Verstappen's got to be happy. He still gets P3 after being right in the middle of that chaos, but backed it down enough to not get directly involved. And as well, I mean, Carlos Sainz on the podium now, P2 in the last 2 Grand Prix. I mean, just certainly building that resume for saying, hey, you know, I'm losing my ride at Ferrari, but I certainly belong in a car capable of fighting for wins. Is he going to get that? I don't really know. It's going to be quite difficult, I think, for him to get a car that's competitive enough to win races, unless Mercedes is willing to choose him maybe over their upcoming star of Aiden Jackson down in Formula 2. We'll only have to wait for time to settle that one out. Of course, what's going to happen at Red Bull? Sergio Perez has kind of had a few ups and downs. He has a win this season so far, so, I mean, don't write him totally off, but yeah, only time's going to tell. A long season ahead, a lot of time for things to kind of come out and things to develop. Of course, we got Sebastian Vettel as a possible, you know, route coming into the sport once again as well. So there's certainly some things developing here in the driver roster for the future of this career mode. Verstappen 27 points ahead, but let's take a look at the constructors. 59 points advantage for Red Bull now over Mercedes. Ferrari a point behind Mercedes, but Perez 27 back, Russell 30 back, Leclerc 36 back after Imola. That's going to do it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one for the Monaco Grand Prix. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.